Nigeria is a nation that shines for many reasons, from our extraordinary cultural diversity expressed through our fashion, festivals, and cuisine, to our breathtaking natural beauty and heritage sites. Nollywood and Afrobeat have already stamped Nigeria's identity on the global stage. These, some will say, are the building blocks of a thriving tourism sector. Yet, despite signs of resilience and growth, Nigeria's tourism industry continues to underperform compared to its vast potential. So, what are the factors holding us back? And more importantly, what is being done to turn these immense possibilities into concrete strengths? Tonight, we sit down with the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the National Institute for Hospitality, Tourism and Travel to explore these questions and more as we take a hard look at the state of Nigeria's tourism industry. Thank you for having us in your office.
Thank you for coming.
And I need to thank you for accepting our invitation to even come.
Any day, any day.
Thank you so much. Now, I'll be honest with you, your organization is a really interesting one, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it. So can you start by telling us about its mandate?
Well, for about 35 years, NAUTOR was just a training school. That was in about maybe 7, 8 training schools, but they have presence in about 10 states in Nigeria. And for that 35 years, there was no act that established NAUTOR. When the National Assembly passed an act and was assented to by the then former president, may so rest in peace, President Muhammadu Buhari, and it was signed into law. An act that established NAUTOR as an agency, or let's say a regulatory body, that is supposed to cater for identification, registration, training, and certification of all personnel, operator, and professionals in hospitality, travel, and tourism. You would say that is huge. So when that was passed in 2002, I got my appointment last year. In fact, I can remember, November 14th to be precise. And I came in, the first thing I asked for was, where's the act that established this place? And I found out that the act has been passed, and today, NAUTOR is a full-blown agency that is meant to operate as an agency that regulates tourism, travel, and hospitality personnel and operators.
Okay, but you still retain your training mandate?
Yeah, the training mandate is still there because you're supposed to train. Mm-hmm. But we also realize that there's no way, the NAUTOR doesn't have the capacity to train everybody in that sector. Mm-hmm. So the idea for us is we are partnering and certifying, giving accreditation to training schools in Nigeria, through which they will have standard of operation. The SOP will be given to them, and they can train people. And from those accredited training schools, they get NAUTOR certification.
Okay, so help us. You know, when you say training, it's why it is like saying a university. Mm-hmm. But if under that training, or as you call it, the hospitality business, what does that entail? So if I'm to imagine now, you're training waiters, you're training, what are you training? Who are the people who benefit?
It's not about who and who benefits. Everybody in that industry must be trained. Let me give you an example. Yeah. The oil and gas industry. Yeah. There are different kinds of training. Security, yeah, catering, equipment, handling, various kinds of training. Yeah. It's the same thing with hospitality, travel and tourism. Mm-hmm. Just like medical licensing council. In medical, there are dental, there's physiotherapy, you can't just open an office and say you're opening an hospital. There has to be a license. So when we talk about training, it covers all sectors, all sphere of hospitality, from the chef to the assistant chef, to the waiter, to the doorman, to security, to the tour guide, to air hostesses, to club owners. You know, it covers all. Because one of the challenges we have in this country is services.
True.
Yeah, we don't place premium on services. And that is so because trainings are not mandatory. A lot of people in our industry fall in that sector on a second thought. Maybe I wanted to be. I can't be, so I should not be. So going forward, we are raising the bar.
I'm asking because I want to be clear where Nigerians go now. They'll be like, okay, you need training from this agency because the way you are doing, you're not representing the industry properly. But let's leave that now. You've spoken about how the agency was a training institute before. Now it's been an agency. Now it's been given the mandate to also be a regulator. How are you doing the transition?
Well, it's been fun for me because when I pick up the act, I also knew there would be challenges. There would be certain challenges like bootstrapping. You know, when you are starting a new company, you are bootstrapping and you need a lot of support in terms of stakeholders engagement, in terms of financing, in terms of staff training, in terms of, you know, having me coping. It's just like you're starting off a new company and you are facing the challenge and taking it day at a time. Most importantly, the stakeholders need to understand that that sector has to be regulated. For us to up the service, for the industry to get the kind of respect that it deserves, for us to be able to have a common front in terms of data analysis, for us to be able to compete globally, for foreign investors and local investors to have adequate return on their investment, we need to put a structure to that industry.
Yeah, but you have the necessary mandate to do the regulation.
No, that we have the mandate, we have the regulation. All is done. They have been gazetted. The law is there. The law is the law. But you know, as Nigerians, we find it a bit challenging sometimes to comply with the law. We always feel there's always a way around it. And you know, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. When you have a son or a daughter who has lived in his father's house for 35 years, and one day just wakes up and says, I want to go and rent a house. People will think, are you old enough? Forgetting that at 35, you should have had your own children. NAOTO has been a training agency for 35 years without an act. So an act has been given. Just like every other thing in Nigeria, it may not be the perfect one, but it is the law is the law. We can try and see how we can work around it. We keep engaging each other, and that's what I've been doing from the day I resumed. I kept going to stakeholders, asking. They will ask questions, I will answer. But stakeholders' engagement can never be enough.
No, I'm even just looking at it. You're talking to from what I understand from you, this has been an all-comers affair. Before everybody just comes enter the field. Now you are coming as a sheriff. I'm sure there will be hostile reception.
I know some people don't like my face. Okay.
I'm sure, okay. and I can just imagine having to go around and trying to tell them, look, we can't do this no more.
Yeah, because the renewed agenda is meant to bring reform.
Yeah,
and the reform can't happen without some level of give and take. And it's not business as usual anymore. The agency was given its act to protect the industry. And for us, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewable agenda, the country comes first. And for me, I'm not the president. For me, in charge of personnel, operators, and services in tourism, hospitality, and travel, the industry comes first. We will do what is good for the investors, we'll do what is good for the employers, we'll do what is good for the customers.
Okay. Now, you know, I like the way you keep repeating, you say hospitality, travel, and tourism. Tourism and hospitality looks like something I think a lot of us are clear. In Nigeria, we have obviously the hospitality business. You can't run away from that. But travel, I don't know. Do we really have? Is that how well are we doing in that regard?
Well,
and I'm talking internally. I know there are a lot of travel agencies that will say, "Oh, yeah, do you want to travel outside?" But no. Do we have a good number in the country?
Well, I'll throw this question back at you.
Okay.
Our local hospitality business are declaring profit every time.
Yeah.
I don't want to mention brands here.
Hotels.
The hotels are declaring profit every time, and there are no MICE happening, no international training coming here, no. Unlike Cape Town, when you have international something happening, all the international summit happening in Cape Town, Kenya, they don't happen here. Where's the money coming from? It's a domestic tourism. People here in Nigeria make money here and we spend it here also. Without us even attracting major seminar, we are doing good numbers, which we have not been able to account for. And that's what we're trying to make sure that at least we have good data to back that up.
No, that's in hospitality. I'm concerned about travel.
The travel, I just mentioned the travel.
In local.
Yes, but if you're flying, you know, the footfall at the airport coming from Lagos to Abuja, there's a part of travel there. If somebody has coming from Lagos to Abuja, that's a travel. The transaction has happened between the airlines, the transport companies, and who's picking them up, then hotel eventually. So that value chain has to be managed.
That falls under your.
It does.
Oh, lovely.
And you know, the cab drivers that pick you up from the airport,
yes,
they need to be trained.
Oh.
Because if you see, making Nigeria the country that everybody wants to come is a job of everyone, from the custom officer that is from the immigration officer that is stamping your visa, to the guy that is picking up your luggage, to the cab driver that is taking you to your hotel. The story has to be consistent and it has to be the same. So at that level, everybody needs some level of training, and we're trying to organize it and every part of that to make the travel experience easy.
Okay, so let me take the one that I think a lot of us, even though from what you've explained now, travel is something we get in touch with, at least, even if it's the cab drivers, for those who don't have drivers. But the hospitality business is one that almost in one way or the other, even if it's to go to a restaurant or something. By your standards, what would one be looking forward to between when we look at training? If we get to an establishment, how should we be able to tell that this one apparently has been trained? Okay.
The regulation that NATO says that at least your staff must have 2 external training in their field, CPD. There's no way you have a level of training it will not reflect in your behavior.
It should.
It should reflect in your behavior. Most of the staff we have today, people just pick them. My daughter is looking for work, and they will just bring the whatever.
Or as you said, as a stopgap between where I want to be and where I am right now.
Second thoughts. So there's no way you would go through training and it will not reflect. You would definitely see, just to answer your question. And when something is mandatory, it's different from when it's optional. The law says they have to undergo training at least twice in a year. That would definitely improve the standard of service in this country.
No, my own point is this. You know, sometimes, a lot of times, feedback is gotten from the people who receive the service. And when you get a service you feel you don't like, you now be like, the way you're doing it, this is not the way it should be done. And so that's why I'm demanding, I feel I should demand better. Is there a way the ordinary Nigerian who is the recipient of that service can feel like, okay, this is not what it should be?
We will get there.
Okay.
And you know, like they always say, Rome was not built in a day.
Yes.
First thing first, what we're trying to do now as an agency is to, first of all, reveal the alter egos of all these hospitality companies. Let's even know who is responsible. If something goes wrong, who do we hold responsible? Just like in banks, you can't just wake up in a bank and appoint your MD he has to go through the CBN. And CBN will say, okay, look at the profile. Same thing with insurance. So why the regulation has said so. Like, everybody in that sector must have a level of relevance with the industry you're coming to. Don't come with the mindset of an accountant to come and, operate in an hospitality business when you don't have the training. It's a specialized area. And that's why the countries like Greece, if you go to Greece today, tourism in Greece contributes about almost 30% of their GDP. They live on it. Now that we're understanding that we have a replacement for oil, we can live on tourism in this country. People can travel from all over the world. Once they get that experience in service, they will always come back. That is repeat purchase. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
Some will disagree with you that we have understood that we need to help the tourism sector.
They would disagree.
Yeah, some will say we're not paying enough attention. That Nigeria is a very rich cultural place, but it doesn't look like we're putting our best foot forward to encourage and drive.
They would disagree. Understanding that we have woken up to something doesn't mean that we are there.
Okay.
The body language of this government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to tourism has changed.
Okay.
You understand the importance of tourism. I mean, look at what Lagos is doing in terms of figure. There are efforts being made. For somebody like myself to be appointed as the Director General of National Institute for Hospitality and Tourism, there is a standard that is expected of me. I'm a builder, and I'm here to build that sector from the angle of my mandate, and that's what we are doing. When I say we are woken up to it, doesn't mean that we are there already. But the body language, in just 1 year, you can imagine what we have done here. Amazing thing. I'm sure you have never heard of NATO before.
It was interesting to hear when I
say that again.
It was interesting. I actually am surprised to understand we have an institute that is focused on the.
We actually do.
Sector.
So people like myself and my team that I met on ground, it's amazing what those people are doing and what they can do. And now we are in forefront of conversations. An agency that has never been spoken about before. People are saying they won't have the right. I said, yes, go and read it down. The act is there. So that's what I meant by we have woken up to the aspect that tourism can actually replace oil. I'm not saying that we are there already. And for us to, what has been left untapped in 35 years, you can't tap it in 2 years now. You have to build the foundation. What we are doing right now is foundational structure. And there are pushback here and there, and we understand that. There are besetting problems. There are financial issues that are still there. We need finances to move, but that would not still stop us.
Yeah, I was coming to that issue of finance, because if the sector had not been at the forefront before, how have you been coping with finances?
I used to joke that if you can fund this the tourism sector with the same zeal and the same passion and the same budgets that were funded when we discovered oil, if we can fund tourism like that, we will reap times 100 of what we are going to invest in that. Funding is a problem at every sector. But since I came in, I've never seen that as a problem, because we are sitting on the gold mine. And I would always play with people. I would say, tourism is a social Bitcoin. If you sleep on it, you regret later. Because everybody's talking about Bitcoin now, but tourism is a social Bitcoin. If you sleep on it, you're going to regret later, because the value chain is endless.
Okay. Now, some people believe that two major things affect us when it comes to tourism, because the landscape is rich. We're culturally diverse, very rich culture. As even our music shows, we have a lot of even sites and places across the country, and different ones. We go to the north, something different. We go to the south, something different. So that is not our problem, but it looks like tapping it is our problem. And some point to the issue of infrastructure. Now, from the place you sit, how do you help government understand the need to, for instance, I'm wondering now, if you see a site or a place that this could work and help the Nigerian tourism industry well, but there's no road there, how do you go about signaling for the relevant authorities that this needs to be done as quickly as possible?
Well, my thought about that is simple. You cannot scale what you cannot scale what you cannot measure. You don't know the value of something, there is no way you can scale it. The industry has not taken a deep stick into its activity. We don't even have a data to say this is what we have done. So right now, there are all efforts being made by us and the Honorable Minister also to make sure that we have a standard data of the industry. So even know where we are, what we are doing. With this, we can actually project. With that projection, you are getting the attention of the government. Before now, the sector has been working in different kind of silos. Have money, I'm doing my thing. Have money, nobody's coordinating it. So that coordination will bring about respect for the industry. And it will show what the industry brings to the table. With that, government will listen to you. You can now say, okay, these are the things we can do to scale from A to B. And if we want to go from B to Z, this is what we need. So part of the effort of NIAUTO is to make sure that at least we have verifiable data, which is why we have partnered with the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics to say, all this data that are flying around, let's even know where we are. Help us bring data together. We want to understand what is happening in this industry. How many people are in this industry that are working? How many people, how many expatriates do we have? What's the footfall in Nigeria? Where are they going to? What are they going to do? When we understand that, we can now make projections based on that, and with our projections, government will most definitely listen. The part of it, things that is also good that we are doing this is, I will take you back to COVID. Every other sector got intervention. I'm not sure hospitality got anything because there's no common front. Nobody is talking about it. Nobody could see the impact on that industry. You could see the impact on your personal businesses. Mm-hmm. My business lost 20,000. Mine lost 20 billion. But nobody's saying holistically, this is what the industry has lost. This is what we need to do to sustain that industry. So every investor is still struggling to come back from. So they are not very happy, and which I understand. But now we also need to understand that we have to do this so that next time when things like this happen, government can come to our aid.
Okay, how soon are you looking at that data coming out?
Data is something that you have to renew every time. So we just signed a partnership with them, and they are working seriously on making sure we have something. And he was even talking about, if you go back and check his interview, talking about at the end of the day, probably create a special satellite for tourism and so on and hospitality. So it's a huge thing.
What do you mean by special satellite?
That's what he said. He said in data formulation, I can't remember how he put it, but it's one that can explain that better. Okay. Because he said because the industry is so wide that they would need to do a special satellites configuration for tourism. All those conversations wouldn't have happened if we didn't start them.
No.
Nobody would know what we need if we don't start those conversations. So in 1 year, it's amazing how we have been able to dig, and we are realizing that the sector is bigger than we can imagine.
Yeah, just from listening to you now, I've just been enlightening that taxi drivers are also under your...
I'm saying...
I was thinking just travel agencies, the operators of travel agencies.
They are all personnel. They are all working in that sector. Everybody needs to be accounted for.
How do you, from what you're saying now, your workforce, how do you hope to be able to meet all this? You still have the training component, and now you have the regulation component on a field that has been unregulated, which would mean you need more men on ground to push things forward.
Maybe not more men. Maybe what we need is what we are doing, be strategic. When I came in, we were only in about 10 states. Today, we are in 29 states. And we have boots on the ground. We are planting men for the structure that we're about to pull out. We are going to be doing a lot of PPP.
Okay.
First, the training aspect, we realized that NATO cannot train everybody. It's not possible. So that value chain that we have created for training, we are talking to people to create training schools. Already we have a lot of, what they call it, all these catering schools that are not certified by NATO. They should come for certification. We give them the standard. That's going to be SOPs, standard of operation. I mean, you know, they will have their standard, and our people will go to do inspection. They will give them accreditation. They will now say, this is an accredited school. So you can't just wake up one day and say, I'm chef, I'm chef Abisoye.
I'll put on the
put on the cap. There has to be, you know, Michelin would not be happy seeing a lot of that. You know, we are trying to build a standard that will outlive all of us as a country. And I'm happy to say that the industry is happy about it, even so some cluster of people are not, but would not look at that. We'll have to do what we need to do.
You know, when we talk about all the things we have the potentials to do and all the work that you're doing, there is still the part of where that the things that are out of your hand. And some people will say that one of the major issues that is affecting even Nigeria's tourism or people visiting as it is the issue of security. When you look at that, how do you address the perception that Nigeria is unsafe, which feeds the reluctance of some people to check Nigeria out as a tourism destination?
Whenever I hear Nigeria is unsafe, I just smile. I smile because that narrative we all know is wrong.
Which narrative is that?
Of Nigeria is not safe.
Okay.
We are still here. We are having a conversation here, and there's nothing happening out there. Just like other countries, for example, you can't go to Johannesburg and just walk anyhow. Cape Town, the same thing. The crime happened in broad daylight. Nobody's talking about that, and they are not saying South Africa is unsafe. Same thing in London. You can see what is happening in the street of London, and the stabbing and all that is going on. Nobody's saying UK is unsafe. I think that narrative is just is a projection of some people who just feel that Nigeria should remain hidden treasure to people. They don't want people to come and discover what we have in this country. We are great people, kind people, and the resources here is endless. We travel from Lagos to Ibadan, from Ibadan to our culinary is even untapped. So that is relative when you say the security issues. We have challenges. I'm not saying they're not challenges.
The reality is that the perception is affecting us. Because whether you like it or not, there are people who put safety over recreation or travels. And my own is, how do we address that? What are you doing to...
The way for us to address it is, and I'm sure NTD is working rigorously on that, we should put in more of the good side of Nigeria, as in overwhelm the bad media. We should be conscious of the fact that now that some people are pushing that narrative, we need to push the real narrative. They might call it propaganda, but it's true. They're saying Nigeria is unsafe, They are lifting crude oil every day. Nigeria is unsafe, People are doing business, mining is going on. Nigeria is unsafe, Businesses are happening, multi-billion dollar business is happening in Nigeria. I think that narrative is, the negative narrative is overwhelming the good things that is happening in Nigeria. And this is where the media comes in. We need to invest more in our media structure. They might say it's propaganda, but it's the truth. People are still eating our amala, edikaikon, efang. The soup are there. When the foreigners discover this thing, they will always want to come back. So I feel that we should push our narrative and keep pushing our narrative. If you go to England today and you watch Premiership, you see visit Rwanda.
Yes.
If you listen to an average Nigerian, if you put it online and say visit Nigeria, the first, to be a Nigerian, I first say, with Nigeria. You know,
that's a major problem.
It's a major problem.
And that's another issue, because it appears some will say that Nigerians are the ones pushing even that narrative.
Well, I would not want to go into that, but I know, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
That even when they feel it's propaganda, it's our country. We should push that propaganda. Push the positive angle of Nigeria. Invest more in NCDA to do that job. Invest more in NOA to do that job.
I would like to understand, you mentioned the issue of the national, is it the Nigerian Tourism Development Authority?
Yes.
How are the two of you working together? Because it has to be it appears you are on the field, they have also some roles to play.
Well, when I came in last year, myself and my team, for the first time, we met with the NCDA DG, and for the first time in the history of NAOTO and NCDA, the two agencies sat together. It has never been done before. That was when Chief Folikoka was the DG. And we decided that rather than work in isolation, we would work together as an agency. Those are just the two agencies in tourism. So we started that collaboration, and its time expired. Now there's a new DG there, the person of Mr. Olawakon. We have actually met, and we are taking the baton from where Dr. Folikoka left it. The two agencies are going to work together. Anywhere there's an overlap, we'll collaborate to make sure that we forge the sector forward. Unlike before, when NAOTO will be going this way, NTD will be going this way, that is not happening under this renewed agenda. The two agencies are going to work together to make sure that at least the industry is fully protected. And you know, what used to be was people pitching the two against each other, and that is politics. We can't continue to play politics with a sector that is critical to development of this country. So we have decided that we are working for the same government. We'll collaborate together. We can collaborate with other agencies that are not even in our ministry. How much more agencies that are under the same ministry? So we are working together. We have a technical committee team that is going to come up with an MOU that two of us are going to sign that will help the industry.
How are you working with other agencies of government and state government? Because I think this is a multi-layer. Your own is national. So you are not only concerned about, you also have to work with different levels of government. How is that going?
It's been a series of strategic collaboration, from us working with the MBS, you know, for Nigeria Bureau of Statistics, to working with NAFDAC to make sure that there's quality. NAFDAC, yes.
Okay.
NAFDAC. Then to make sure that the quality of what people are consuming in this country is because when the issue of the fake drinks and all of that is in the hospitality sector, it affects us. It's part of services. So to working with the Nigeria Immigration Services, we realized that some expatriates will come into this country, they will be given CPAC for engineering, and they will end up doing shawarma on the street of Lagos. So we are working with the immigration system to tighten up our sector, and to make sure that at least NAOTO certification is requested before any of them can come in and say they want to practice. Because for every expatriate that is coming in, there's a Nigerian that can do that job. They are well trained. So we have to protect our people and also protect the expatriates also that are coming in. Then we have collaborated with the Nigerian police force. The IG approved our enforcement and sent signal to all the states. You know, there's no way you can do enforcement without police. And we had a series of meetings with the Nigerian police force. The IG approved a national enforcement scheme for NAOTO. We NAOTO partner with that. We have done a lot of, for international engagement, we are collaborating with the UAE to see how we can strengthen our training system. We are looking at building a war tourism academy in Nigeria. We've worked with the United Kingdom. We've done a couple of strategic partnerships that would help us deliver on our mandate.
1 year, you've been on seat 1 year.
Just 1 year.
You've listed some things that you've done.
376 days now, yeah.
How would you say it's been on the seat? I'm sure you had a lot of opinions about the sector. You've been on one hand or the other working in the publicity sector.
Yeah.
But being on the seat now 1 year, how has it been?
Well, I think it's been exciting for me, a different challenge entirely. And I've seen it differently. Working with a set of people that you have never seen before in your life. Looking at it, I feel the last 1 year I've immersed myself in these things. I left everything that I love doing to make sure that at least I succeed. Because it's a sector that needs help, and this government is willing, not just, it has the will to scale the sector up. And I've been charged with that. And it's like, you know, I'm looking at it like, to whom much is given, much is expected. So in 1 year, I would say it has been very, very eventful, impactful, and the results is there to show.
You were also talking earlier about how much the organization has tried to develop as regards the number of areas, the areas you've tried to open the office up.
Yes.
In terms of zonal and all.
We have 6 zonal offices.
Okay.
Now that's where we are zoning to make the report line easy, and we're in 29 state now. I think 28. The 29th one happened just before my 1 year.
Okay.
So we're in 29 states now, presence, and every state is equipped with personnel that can actually put a structure to that state based on what they know. And we've grown with that minimal budget in 1 year. Same budget, same number of people, and when you have staff that are committed, the only thing you need to do as the head is to charge them to do the needful. So we are in 29 states, 6 zones.
I understand you organize events. One was brought to my attention, the gastronomy event is organized annually. How does that go?
Yeah, for the past 5 years, NALTO has organized gastronomy. It's a food tasting event where we invite stakeholders to come taste Nigerian food and all of that. So when I came in, they talked about the gastronomy, and this is a good idea, but why do we keep tasting our food ourselves? Let's draw the attention of the world to this. Because when you travel abroad, if you don't see Nigerian food, you say, can I, Chinese, do you have Chinese food? Chinese food does not mean just the noodles, doesn't mean the rice, but it means every other thing. So, and I said, well, how can we draw the attention of the world to our food? Okay, when you eat food, you eat on the table. And there's this thing that I said is the longest table in the world. So why can't we make an attempt at the longest table used as dining table? When you're having a Guinness World Record event, the whole world is watching, the world will be looking. And that is supposed to draw the attention of the world to our food. Then we can show them the other icon of this world, Amalang Begiri. They would need to understand that beyond the jollof rice that everybody is trying to claim, we have our own food that are actually local food, that are even way more delicious than the jollof rice of this world, and even more beneficial to the body. So that's why we're having an attempt at the Guinness World Record on the longest table used as dining.
And that's coming
on the 6th of December.
Okay.
Here in Abuja, Eagle Square.
So those are some of the events you also do to help.
Yeah, we have a Basta lecture series that's where our academia come together, they formulate policies and all of that for the year. Then we're having a stakeholder event on Friday. Part of the thing that you mentioned was how we're working with the states. We're inviting all the states commissioner for tourism and their SA for tourism we need them to come, sit down with us. We sit down and we discuss. How does this act benefit you? How can we work together in your state? What are the things that we can do to enhance your job as a state? And for me, I'm an advocate of decongesting Lagos. But how can you decongest Lagos when you're not creating activities outside Lagos for people? So we are working with the state government, and I must mention here, one of the state government that is really, really trying to do things on tourism is Akwa Ibom. They are coming up strong, and they are partnering with us seriously to work on their tourism and training and all of that.
I think recently one event that appears to be the #1 on the map when it comes to Nigerian tourism is Dirty December. And I don't know how you are working, or your agency is working around that, to not only make sure that these standards, because it looks like there is where we need the greatest pressure right now in terms of services, in terms of everything we need to do, so that those that come get the best and leave with the best impression. But how is your agency in tune with that?
The question I keep asking in my head is, what is Dirty December? It's just people, the homecoming of people. People just coming home, and we need to understand that every aspect of our life is important to the Dirty December that you mentioned. From people experiencing the immigration, picking up their bags, taking their travel from the airport to their homes. How is the traffic warden doing his job to make sure there is ease of traffic? Then how are we making sure that some of these people that are coming are not spending money here, and when they go back they cancel their credit card? There's a lot of things that's playing out that we at this end are trying to work on in terms of training and services. And fully, we have after this year, Dirty December, we can now make bold to say that every sector is touched in terms of how the process should be. Right now, this Dirty December is still going to be Dirty December the same way the world is going to see it. There's nothing extraordinary that we are going to be doing. But we'll make sure that we will monitor closely what the process is. You need to understand the process before you can act. So we'll monitor closely again the process and see the pattern. The pattern for last year, the data for last year was just thrown out there. This year, after this year, you can rest assured that at least we have a data that we can work with.
Put structures in place to tap that.
That's why we have those collaborations.
Lovely. So let me look at your forecast, because from what you're saying, you've been on board 1 year. The sector has been an open field. Regulator has come in. Looking over the next 2-3 years, what would you want to see?
I would say a sector that is well accounted for, a sector that is well monitored, and a sector that would move the pin of our contribution in terms of GDP. We show that the indicator has gone up maybe from, we said it's about 4.something% to about 8, double the indicator in terms of contribution. Then a sector that is well organized, and a tech sector that is thriving, that people will be proud to put their money into. We're having a conversation with somebody, I can't remember, and they were showing us building, hotels in the US that have stayed for 100 years. That's because there's a structure, there's a standard. So putting those standards in place would also strengthen our sector. So I would be seeing a sector that is well organized, that investors will know where the return on investment is coming back from, and the workers will understand that we are working in a sector that we are fully and well protected. That's what I want to see in the next 2-3 years.
Okay, we'll look forward to that plan, and we'll be praying along with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It appears the challenge before us is clear: to transform potential into prosperity, and to make tourism not just a cultural showcase, but a true engine of national growth. The conversation must continue. We'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Share your views and reactions and questions through our social media handle and email address. And if you'd like to catch up on past episodes, please head over to our YouTube channel. Just search for Newsnight. Click on the playlist and take your pick. Thanks for being there and for being part of the conversation. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and bye.